Now, I have an infamous relationship with Mario Kart Tour. My subscribers will tell you. However, this has been a very highly anticipated video. Instead of just ranting about this game, I wanted to make an unbiased review, considering that this game is no longer being supported. I can now analyze this game now that it's complete and is no longer being supported. So is this game just as good as when it first released, when there was barely anything there and it was bare bones? Or has this game drastically improved since then? Let's find out. Please note, this game will drain your battery life. I learnt that the hard way. This game is free, so go into this with a certain level of expectation. This game is no longer being supported, as I just mentioned earlier, and also, I was genuinely excited about this game when it first got announced. I even made a couple of videos on the channel shortly after it got announced, and even when we got like our first little teaser trailer from it as well. It was such an exciting time. Now, because I'm such a nice guy and unbiased, I'm going to be starting off this video with the pros of this game, and kind of continuing on from the point I was making earlier. The whole concept of Mario Kart Tour is fantastic. Literally, a mobile phone Mario Kart game is something that myself and many other Mario Kart fans have been dreaming of for a super long time. So the fact that they made it a reality, regardless of how we found the execution, that's great. Whether you like Mario Kart Tour or not, the mere existence of it is really cool to see, especially seeing just how much this game got supported as well. But they didn't stop there, they also used Mario Kart 7 as a kind of blueprint for this game. Mario Kart 7 was a great game in my opinion, so the fact that they used this game as a blueprint is really cool to see. And on a mobile phone, it looks really cool. Definitely one of the best looking phone games that I've seen personally. Obviously, we can't talk about Mario Kart Tour without speaking about how big it is. I mean, bro, there's like a million characters, a million karts, a million tracks. I don't really feel like I need to say much on this one other than I think DK Jr. 16-bit is an absolutely amazing idea, and I actually launched out of my chair excited when I first saw him. Him and 16-bit Mario actually. I'm a big sucker for retro things, so seeing those two, oh man, let me not go on because I just think that's such a great concept, and if they bring that over to the next console Mario Kart game, I'll be so happy. But essentially, I'm very happy to see that this game has been supported for so long, and just by being supported like that as well, it lasted a long time too. I just wish that console Mario Kart games had the same treatment, you know, but that's a side tangent that we won't get into here. A little weird point that I want to make is I actually like how this game only has 2 laps per race as opposed to 3. I know you guys are thinking, SGB, you're being uncultured and weird right now, what are you talking about? Well, let's think about this. You play phone games whilst you wait for appointments or vehicles to pick you up, right? Or even when you're in a vehicle. So basically scenarios where you know you don't have all the time in the world and your time of waiting is a little uncertain, but you know that you can fit a couple of play sessions within that waiting time. 2 laps is literally perfect, because it really does make a difference compared to 3, and also you can fit in so many sessions before you get out of that car or you finally get your doctor's appointment, for example. So in terms of portability and being able to play games on the go and simple convenience like that, I think that's a major win. So in terms of being a phone game first, not even Mario Kart game, a phone game, I think that was a genius play by Nintendo, and regardless of how us Mario Kart fans feel about the 2-lap thing, you can't knock it. It's very convenient and very good for the real life scenario. We'll talk about controls in more depth later on in the video. However, I do think that they've done a pretty decent job managing the drifting mechanic, because obviously, considering that this is a phone game, this could have been super clunky and overcomplicated. However, it's literally the easiest thing alive. You just rock your thumb back and forth. Great job, Nintendo. I appreciate the simplicity. Thanks. We can play this game in landscape mode. I mean, I wish that this was there from the get-go, but hey, better late than never. Very nice. Bonus challenges, very nice. Again, something that we don't see in other Mario Kart games nowadays. The last time that any Mario Kart game had any form of mission mode was technically Mario Kart Wii with the online challenges, but obviously now that the Wii no longer has online, we can play offline missions on Mario Kart DS, which is the more official mission mode that we have now, and is still the only Mario Kart game that has them outside of Tour, which is crazy to me. Although obviously DS is still on top in terms of how good the missions are, the fact that this game has missions full stop, whereas 8 and 8 Deluxe don't, that's crazy to me, and I really do appreciate things like that. Remember guys, this game is free, and it has missions, okay, bonus challenges, but it's the same thing. That's really cool, and even some of these challenges are super cool in concept. Like the photograph one is really creative and is something that I wouldn't have even thought of if you gave me the task to think of Mario Kart challenges. You have ones where you can take out Goombas with shells, there's other ones where you have to race giant characters, you're the giant character, then you have to squash all the other players. It's really cool to see the variety here and just to see how much creativity got put into this mission mode essentially. And also I just want to touch on the smart steering. I think it's really genius that they included this for a mobile phone racing game. They're not the easiest to control on a touch screen, or even with motion controls that would be quite hard. I appreciate that, even though we can still obviously nosedive off of stages when we're gliding and things like that. I do think it's quite cool that the game kind of directs you in the right direction. Thanks Nintendo for doing that, I appreciate it. Can't believe that I was actually bigging up smart steering in a video. I think that's the first time I've ever done that. But speaking of smart, you know what else is smart? Subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. You see what I did there? Listen, if you love Nintendo, Sega, Rocket League, Fall Guys, basically the whole gaming lot, you'll absolutely love this channel. I upload regular videos during the week and I live stream every Saturday, so make sure that you hit that big red subscribe button and hit the bell notification so that you don't miss any one of my uploads. Thanks. Oh, so SGB, you seem to really like this game now. It's all turned around. So there must not be that many cons, right? If we're starting off on this positive note, surely there shouldn't be that many things to complain about now, right? Right? Okay, let's talk about the con. The controls. The controls. The controls. I don't understand why this game controls like a combination of Temple Run and Fruit Ninja. It's crazy the amount of times that your thumbs will be spazzing out on the screen in a racing game. That makes no sense to me. I don't understand why they didn't just copy and paste the controls from Asphalt and just translate it into this game. It's so easy and straightforward. You want to talk easy and straightforward? Where's the digital buttons? Where's at least the option to do that? Okay, one thing that I will say is that it's nice that they have both a steering area for your thumb and a drifting area. I appreciate that. But still man, you skipped step 0.5, which is simplistic driving controls. How did you miss that? Oh, so if the controls are like that, then this game must be super difficult, right? This is by far the most generous Mario Kart game I've ever seen in my life. It makes sense because this game is geared towards a casual audience, but this game is overly generous. As in, like, you would go through a race, not know what you're doing, make several mistakes, and still get all of the stars at the end of it. Let me know in the comments if you somehow haven't been able to achieve this, but my lowest placement, trying to get video capture for this video, my lowest placement with the time that I've spent with Mario Kart Tour trying to get footage was 2nd place. And these are races where I got destroyed by items, and by the end of the 2nd lap, the game just picked me up and threw me to the front. It honestly felt like that. Even with challenges, as great as they are, as I was mentioning earlier, even they're quite easy as well. Like, there's so many times where I'm learning the challenge, as I'm doing it, I accidentally get a little bit over, wasn't even trying to, and I suddenly just get all of the stars from that challenge. I don't think the bar is high enough here. I don't think that the challenge is quite there. You would think that the bare minimum would be the easiest one, and then everything else would be like, okay, if I really want to get this amount of stars at the end of it, I really have to push myself. You really don't. You really don't, man. The hardest thing about it is dealing with the controls, but the challenges themselves are ridiculously easy, which is disappointing. Frenzies don't help with this either, especially when it comes to races. You're basically in an invincible state, and especially when you get infinite super horns, bullet bills and things like that, that is just screaming broken, and again, you're being thrown to the front of the pack. So I'm not a fan of frenzies. Another problem that this game has is the Splatoon problem, which is that it takes a million years for them to change the track selection, which really makes the gaming session of Mario Kart Tour feel super repetitive, which is a shame because a lot of the tracks here are really cool. Literally, it's across the whole Mario Kart franchise brought together. Like, you can't get any better than that, and yet you limit us so much, Nintendo, with the amount that we can play. Again, I can't really complain because it's a free-to-play mobile game. However, because it's for some reason law to treat Tour like a main series Mario Kart game, compared to the other Mario Kart games, that's simply not good enough. There's no other way of saying it. It sucks, it's repetitive, and it's boring. The fact that you have to unlock Mario is stupid, to say the least. Do I even need to explain this one? Like, again, this is step 0.5. Why are we starting off with Toad, bro? Make it make sense. But the one thing that really annoys me about this game, I would say that the controls are the worst part about this game, and it obviously affects the whole gameplay experience. But one thing that is unforgivable about this game and makes me... let's talk about this. It's the final lap music. Just so that you guys know, I'm a music producer and I've always been a big fan of OSTs. So the music side of things, especially when it comes to video games, is very important to me. So when developers mess it up, it's heartbreaking. Especially when there was nothing wrong with the formula before. Across all of the Mario Kart games, on the last lap, they tone it up just a little bit just to get the urgency up and to speed it up. Sounds pretty good to me, and ever since then it's been consistent. Even in the Boosticles pass, which came after Tour, they kept that there. That was something that I was worried about. They literally kept the final lap music roughly the same, just a little bit pitched up and sped up. That's all you need to do. Even if you want to talk about that, you copy and pasted Mario Kart themes for the whole of this game, so why couldn't you do it again with the final lap music? Instead, what they did was, you see how they only moved the tonality a little bit up in the main series Mario Kart games? No, with this one, the tonality's there. So on the last lap, the song sounds completely different, completely discombobulated, and just unenjoyable to listen to. You have so many classics there that we've been listening to for the whole of our childhoods, only for you to completely take a sledgehammer to them and make them sound so disjointed and weird. I know most people aren't going to care about this because it doesn't affect gameplay or anything, and I know I'm being nitpicky here, but again, as someone who takes music super seriously, it's so frustrating because when I'm listening to the Mario Circuit theme or the Donut Plains theme, I want to be able to bob my head whilst I'm playing it. So when I go on the last lap and it sounds like it's voice cracking and sounding completely different to what the original final lap sounded like, why? If we're looking at this game from a mobile phone game's perspective, a lot of the cons there wouldn't even affect most people, I don't think. Because you're going into this knowing that this is a free-to-play mobile game and that your expectations are on that level as well, I can honestly say that this is a really solid phone game. Yeah, even after everything I just said. I know that's probably shocking for a lot of you guys to hear, but I genuinely mean it. It gets the job done in terms of what our phone game needs to do. As mentioned earlier with the 2-lap system, I think that's great for accessibility and for quick play. I think that the graphics chosen was really good. The fact that they selected Mario Kart 7, which was already a great looking handheld game. The colours really pop and it's really cool, especially for both casuals and people who are familiar with what Mario Kart looks like as well. The drifting was handled really well. Basically, it's such a simple racing experience from that lens, and it's a very simple Mario Kart game to that extent. So as a mobile phone game, nothing attached to the rest of Mario Kart, it's a fairly decent experience. You get a ton of content with it as well, for free. This is the same company who charged us money for the rest of Super Mario Run. That's crazy. However, as great as this game is, and as much as this game held my attention from a mobile game perspective, you also have to look at this game from a Mario Kart game's perspective. Unfortunately, as much as I don't want to do that, I feel bad doing it, because you have a phone game and you have an actual console game. How is that a fair comparison? That's like comparing Sonic Dash to Sonic 3 and Knuckles. You actually think Sonic Dash is going to win that comparison? Or putting an average person in the ring with Mike Tyson? Do you honestly think they're going to win that? But I mean, if it's considered law on the internet that I have to compare Tour to the rest of the other Mario Kart games simply because Nintendo does it, fine, I'll do it. But I'm just saying, you asked for this. It's the worst Mario Kart game by far. There's no other way of saying it. It makes Super Circuit look like the greatest game of all time. And that's not a diss towards Super Circuit, because I love Super Circuit. But that's a Mario Kart game that gets heavily criticized a lot. It's worse than that, by far. Super Circuit controls good, this game doesn't. And yes, I know that I mentioned throughout this video that this game includes things that other Mario Kart games don't, but that's not an automatic win for the game to say, oh yeah, I'm the best now. Okay, yeah, 8 Deluxe doesn't have mission modes, but in terms of simply racing, battle mode, it literally destroys Tour. Oh, let me take that back. It incinerates Tour in every way, shape and form. Mario Kart DS. Okay, yes, that's the other game of missions. If you want to compare DS's missions to Tour's missions, again, that's not a contest. DS is winning that by a landslide. Mechanics. This game definitely has different mechanics compared to other Mario Kart games, but Mario Kart Wii is winning that. Definitely has the better mechanics. Gliding controls. Mario Kart 7 is better. So even though Tour includes things that other Mario Kart games don't, it's lacking in a lot of the basic areas, so it brings it down, it doesn't bring it up. Every time I hear the argument that, oh yeah, Tour is amazing simply because of the things that it has, it makes no sense, because it doesn't change the base game. It still controls poorly, and it's still a free to play mobile game. Comparing that to the rest of the Mario Kart games, that's not good enough. Simple as. Oh, but SGB, you were excited for a phone Mario Kart game, so how can you say that it's automatically... I'm not saying that it's automatically a no-go compared to the rest of the Mario Kart games. I remember saying that it had a lot of potential, and as you've seen from the cons list, there were a lot of basic things that this game couldn't even get right. So did it reach its potential? I don't think so. I was even told to try out this game again after all of the updates were applied to see if I preferred this game compared to the original. And yes, I do prefer this version of Tour compared to when it first came out, of course I do, but it's still the same game. It doesn't completely change the experience. Here's a bit of a weird analogy. Let's say that you have a cake and you bite into it and it tastes like trash. You don't want anything to do with that cake anymore. So instead of throwing it away, you pour sprinkles on the top of it. Now it makes the cake look nice, doesn't it? But do you think that the sprinkles is going to save the cake from tasting bad? Of course not. And in my opinion, the sprinkles in this analogy goes to the updates. The updates are great, and seeing them in the trailers, yeah, it's cool. New Mii costumes, new tracks, nice. But I don't care. Why? Because these amazing ideas for updates, they're being poured into this Mario Kart game. A Mario Kart game that controls poorly, and again is a free to play mobile game, which again, compared to the other Mario Kart games, is not good enough. You see what I'm getting at here? If the base game is trash, why would I care about the updates? It's not going to change the game. Outside of, okay, landscape mode, it's not really going to change anything. It's just adding more to the dumpster fire. Quality over quantity every single time. Super Mario Kart and Super Circuit has far less content compared to Tour, and yet I consider both of those infinitely more fun to play because you use an actual controller to control them. It doesn't have the mobile phone features like gotcha mechanics and touchscreen controls, and guess what? A lot of the basics that we're accustomed to in Mario Kart were actually met in these games. Obviously, you can make the argument that, oh yeah, Super Mario Kart is dated and things like that, but at least I think we can all agree that if we picked up Super Mario Kart, we would at least be able to control it to some extent, and we'll at least have some fun with it. It depends on the person, but yeah man, there's a lot of basics that Tour just wasn't able to reach. Now, I might get a little bit of hate for this, and I don't think this is the case for everyone, but I think it's definitely a case for a lot of Mario Kart fans. I don't think people actually enjoy playing Mario Kart Tour. I think they enjoy the fact that Mario Kart Tour filled a void for them. It scratched an itch. Because remember, at the time of Mario Kart Tour's release, we were dying for the next Mario Kart game. So this game comes out and it's heavily supported up until now. That's a very long time. So obviously, being able to play anything Mario Kart and gets updated to that extent, of course you're going to be excited, and of course you're going to be like, yes, this is amazing, this is great. But underneath all of those updates, underneath it's another Mario Kart game. Underneath all of that is a poorly controlled kart racer. A mobile game that still blows my mind gets compared to console Mario Kart games. Nintendo themselves comparing it to other Mario Kart games. Is this a joke? Again, I might be totally wrong here. Some people might genuinely enjoy this game more than an 8 Deluxe, and even though I so disagree with that and I don't get it, to each their own, obviously. But I just think that deep down and subconsciously, people don't actually enjoy this game. They just enjoy that this game scratched an itch for them. So in conclusion, what do I think of Mario Kart Tour? It's a great mobile game. It's a trash Mario Kart game. Now, if you excuse me, I am going to be uninstalling this game, getting my space back on my iPhone, and thankfully I don't have to play this game ever again. So that's great.